Hey, hi everybody. This is Dr. Moss Jackson. Welcome to Mondays with Moss. No, you're not having a visual problem. This is Dr. Judy Jackson, who happens to be a psychologist. We work together and we live together, so makes her my wife.
Hi, folks.
I thought I would invite Judy in today because over the last couple of weeks I've been talking about one of the 54 things you need to do. I think the
54 things?
I think it's 52. It's actually one thing a week, not 52 things at the same time.
Okay, that's good.
Like Judy, the first week I talked about, I think, realistic optimism. Like deal with the stuff in your life but have a positive long-term view. Then I spent a week looking at curiosity, like be curious. Rather than be worried, be curious. But for 3 weeks now I've been talking about conflict, particularly about a problem between Joni and Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't know about you, Judy, but sometimes when I read something or somebody tells me like what to do, I have the question: well, how do I apply it? How does it look like, sound like when it's actually in action?
Mm-hmm.
So you and I, when
good.
we do therapy, we can model, we can coach people. So I thought we would take a chance. I would take a chance here, and you would be Joni.
Okay.
And I'd be Bobby,
Okay.
and we would act it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But before we do that, I asked Judy to join me, and I wrote down before the session some of the don'ts to do. Okay, so some of the don'ts.
Some of them.
So I thought, Judy, often we see people when they're upset,
Mm-hmm.
they take things very personally, and they go into a default mode, default strategy, and they go into blame and attack. You're doing this to me. I can't believe you. So they throw it on the other person. Do you see that too?
Yeah, because it feels like that to them.
It does. It
Yeah.
feels like an attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about this notion of hitting with the kitchen sink? Remember that expression?
Kitchen sinking.
Yeah, kitchen sinking. So kitchen sinking is, let's say I have a complaint about Judy. Judy, the kitchen's a mess. Oh yeah, and by the way, the bedroom's a mess. It's been this way for 4 years. You never clean your car up. So you bombard the person with one thing after the other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's called hitting with the kitchen sink. Very, very bad thing to do. Unless you want to really overwhelm and piss the other person off. Okay? How about this one, Judy? You always and you never.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a bad idea.
Why is it bad?
But it's very tempting.
You do that to me. You
Don't listen to him.
you never listen to me.
I never listen to you?
No, you said it to me.
Oh.
Okay, start to say something to me.
Start to say
Well,
something
yeah,
to
but
you.
what are you talking about?
Oh, you're talking over me.
It's called talking over and interrupting.
Uh-huh.
If somebody has something to say, keep your mouth shut until that person is done. But remember, these are the things not to do. Another one is dominate and overpower the person. Really get close and yell. Now, usually in a conflict situation, you don't sit this close. Okay?
No, I like to get as far away
Yeah.
as I can.
Right. But we're doing this in order to do the video. So, okay. But in dominating, you're pointing your finger and you're grimacing and you're yelling and you don't know what you're talking about. That kind of thing.
Pleasant.
Yeah, you don't do that. We don't do that.
No.
This is a
Right
big
on.
one. What do you think of this one?
Right and wrong?
Yeah.
Like I'm always right and you're always wrong?
Well, that's true. But that feels good, doesn't it?
It feels great.
So I want to tell you, the best thing I can ever do with my wife is this. It is my fault. It was my fault. And it will always be my fault.
I find that very calming and soothing.
Right. Makes her right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then there are
Oh.
what's called the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. This was something put together by John Gottman and his wife, I think. So one is criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Criticism in the form of attacking your personality or your character.
I don't like any criticism.
Stonewalling,
Mm-hmm.
which is just,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to talk.
Right.
Okay?
Or walking away.
Walking
That's
away.
part of it, too.
Yeah, right. Very hurtful. Very
Mhm.
hurtful. Another one is contempt, being contemptuous,
Mm-hmm.
which is being psychologically abusive. You're really doing it to humiliate the other person. Okay, so there were 4 of these. Is defensiveness. So see if you can criticize me for something.
Moss, I'll do a couple of them. Moss, why do you always leave your shoes in the living room when you go upstairs? Why don't you take them up and put them in the closet?
I don't do that. I don't know what you're talking about.
You do it constantly.
I always put my stuff away.
You don't.
I
You
always
leave them
do.
all the time.
Now I'm going to be sneaky. I'm going to bring in a counter criticism. And by the way, you leave your clothes all over the floor.
That is like so ridiculous.
I know it's stupid. I'm not saying I'm right.
Okay.
Okay. So there are a lot of things we can do to really screw up an argument or a conflict. And one basic thing I think most of us do, people do, when they're upset, they get overheated and they feel the need to talk. Probably one of the best things to do is move away, not move out of the house, but calm yourself down. Think about, and here are some of the do's, Judy.
Okay.
Be aware of your feelings. Be aware that you're heating up and you're bothered by something. Another one is own your upset. This is my upset. You're not doing it to me. Okay?
So you're not making me be upset.
Right.
That's just my particular reaction to whatever's happening.
Yeah. I might do a great job saying to you, I'm really upset about this. It may come across as an attack because of my voice and my look. But the more I can own it and realize I'm upset and own it, the better off we can be. Mm-hmm. I think it's really important to state your intention up front. And we'll do that in the demonstration, okay?
All right.
Like, what's the purpose of this conversation?
Okay.
A big one is listen and understand.
Mm-hmm.
Seek to understand. I think Steve Covey, in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, really good book, written in the 1990s, talks about one of the most essential skills is seek to understand and seek common ground. Okay, that creates safety. It creates a sense of you care enough about me. Okay, I like this one. Squeeze the lemon.
What is that one?
Squeeze the lemon is you and I will start to talk. You may have an upset, and because you say it once, or I say it once, it may not be enough to get it out of my system. So I might say, well, tell me more about that.
Oh.
Tell me more about that.
I see.
Okay?
Yes.
A really important skill to have is not to get caught up in the complaint, but go for the underlying need. What's really going on under all this heat and all this fire? If we can find out what the underlying need is, safety, control, connection, or approval, then we could talk, maybe do something about it. Okay. 2 people cannot talk at the same time. So one person has to express first, the other one's the listener, and then you reverse.
Take turns.
Take turns. Okay, these are do's. Okay, then you're in a position to do some option and problem solving. All right, so we're gonna improvise. Judy and I have not rehearsed this, but I thought again it would be a good idea to kind of play act Bobby and Joni. All right. So how about if you have the problem, Judy. You're bringing it to me because what happened recently was I came in waiving a bill. You know, what's going on here? You know, you're going to bankrupt me, and you always do this. You spend too much money, and you're always on the phone talking to our daughter and giving our house away. Okay, now, that's what I do. Okay, so I did that recently, last week or so. So you've been chewing on it, and you're going to come to me really with an upset, about this, that this is kind of creating a problem between the 2 of us, and I'll see what I can do to manage it and demonstrate some of the do's.
Okay. So you've attacked me.
Yeah.
That I'm always on the telephone with our daughter.
It really
and
has.
I'm spending too much money.
Yeah.
On myself, on her.
Yeah.
Both.
Well, it's not clear.
Okay, but you said
But you
I
feel
was going to
attacked.
bankrupt you.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what you said.
That's
Okay.
the key. Yeah. Right.
Okay, all right. So I've had a little bit of time to think about
Yeah.
this.
So you want to kind of set the stage and do
all
a
right.
soft.
Okay. So, Bobby, I'd like to talk to you about something that you said to me last week. Is this a good time?
Yeah, I can do it now.
Okay, good. So last week when we were in the kitchen, you came in
Right.
with a couple of our credit card bills,
Yeah.
and you were really, really angry.
Yes.
You were yelling at me,
Yes.
okay, and you were saying things to me that it was all my fault, that I spend too
I
much
remember
money,
that. Right.
that I talked to our daughter too much. It really took me
Yeah.
aback. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't expect it. So I had a week to think about
Uh-huh.
it, and I think we need to talk about it
Okay.
because I think it was really, really unfair.
I see. So it sounds like you were really stunned. It came out of the blue like a missile, and you feel it was really unfair, right?
Very unfair.
Okay. I imagine that must have been very hurtful to you then.
Well, it was, but more than that, it made me angry.
Angry. Sure, I can understand.
You
that.
know, I
That
just
makes
felt
sense.
like you were blaming me and accusing me, and I didn't even know where it was coming from.
I see.
I mean, she's not just my daughter; she's our daughter.
Yeah. So you're on the phone talking to our daughter, and I come barging into the phone. I don't ask you, is this a good time to talk? I just start yelling and waving the bill and attacking you.
That's how it felt to
Yeah,
me.
I get that.
Definitely.
I get it. I can see why that made you really angry and hurt, probably.
I mean,
think.
why did you do that?
Oh. I can give you my perspective.
All right.
Because I've been thinking about it too. Okay, but first of all, I want to apologize for that because I realized I was really too hot, and I didn't take the time out and calm myself down.
Mm-hmm.
I really should have said, "Look, I'm upset. I didn't own the problem.
Okay.
Okay, I just got angry from the bill, and I got into this way of thinking called, why is she doing this to me? Looking at it now, it's really irrational because you're not doing anything, and I may not know exactly what you're doing, but I can see right now I went into overheating, and I came in and lashed out at you. So that's, first of all, I just want to thanks for telling me what happened, the way you're doing it. I don't feel like you're beating me up. I feel like you're kind of being real with me. So I think I just got overheated. I overreacted, and I did one of these blaming things. One of the things you should not do. I think what was going on for me was every once in a while I get overwhelmed when we don't have enough money in the checking account to pay the bills. I don't take a step back and say, is this really, really a problem? Is it really serious? Are we going to go bankrupt? Or is the sheriff going to come and take our house away? Or is it just, oh, we don't have enough money, but that's okay. That's not unusual for couples. And we could postpone paying the credit card charges off fully. So I don't think I had rational thought. But underneath the whole thing, I think it was at times, when we can't pay the bills, I don't feel safe. I think that's what it was. It was a sense of not feeling safe. There's a threat here. Does that make sense to you?
I can understand why you don't feel safe.
Okay.
If you think we don't have the money to pay the bills.
Yeah, from my point of view.
Right. I mean, I didn't see it that way at all.
Right.
But if that's what you thought was going on, I can understand why you got upset.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. You and I just have a different take. I react to this in a way that you don't react.
Evidently.
Yeah, okay. So, I'm wondering what we can do about it so that you can feel safe, talk to our daughter, because I know you're probably more generous with a daughter than I am. You're more comfortable doing it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I like being generous with our daughter, but I have this reaction sometimes, oh my God, she's giving everything away. And that's an overreaction. So I'm curious about what your underlying need or desire is to be so generous. Are you just generous?
Well, I like to think of myself as generous, but, well, I think now that I think about it, now that I realize what happens to you or for you, that I think I would suggest that before we send any money to her, we talk about it first.
Oh, okay, good.
So then I won't be doing something and assuming that it's okay if you have a problem with it.
Right.
And then, maybe we'll disagree about it, but at least we can have a couple conversations.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
What do you think about
I
that
like-
idea?
I appreciate that.
Because I really didn't know
I see.
that you would, I know you want to be helpful to her too.
Yeah.
So it never occurred to me that this would upset you.
Yeah, I appreciate
I just
that.
didn't know.
That makes good sense. That makes a lot of sense to me. I appreciate that because I really do not like acting like a jerk. I mean, I felt like I acted. I did it in front of our daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She was on the phone. I didn't talk to her about it. I think I'm really embarrassed about it. But I think if you and I can put our heads together and just go over once a month, how we doing, so if I see a bill that we don't pay, and what I'll do from my end, I'll do better at owning the problem. Like if I have a problem, I'll say, this is my problem. Judy and I talked about this. Let me talk with Judy about, am I having an overreaction? Okay, because you might be able to see this. Most, it's not really a problem. This is not urgent. We can put this off for another month. And then we can take a look, our daughter, she's divorced. She's a single parent. She's not working right now. She has limited funds. What can we do to be helpful to her, but at the same time not put ourselves in jeopardy?
Okay, let's
right.
try that and see how it works.
All right, so we'll try this as an experiment for a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
All right.
Thank you. I found this really helpful.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Okay.
And I do appreciate that you apologized.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. So, anyway, that's our dramatization. So, what do you think we did right? What do you think was helpful? Like, what do you think, Judy? What do you think we did? Did we do any of the don'ts? Or did we stay pretty focused on?
Well, I think one of the things that I was able to do was, because I took my time. I didn't react to you right away.
Right.
It was like a week before I discussed it with you.
Right.
So by that time I had a chance to think about it, and I wasn't so angry. I was more like, I don't get it,
I see.
So
you went into kind of a cool down mode.
Yeah, right. So I gave myself some time.
Very smart.
Because probably if I had responded to you right away, I would have been really angry.
Right.
And I would have done some of the things that you talked about were not so helpful to do. So I think like taking some time, a time out or whatever, is a really good strategy.
What I liked also, you approached me in what I call kind of a soft startup. You, as you said, you didn't come yelling and screaming. You didn't do one of these, bad, bad, bad. You said you didn't understand. You were angry, but you were confused. And I felt like you were inviting me to have a conversation about what happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah,
So
I felt
from
safe.
your end, that
I
was
felt
good.
safe when you did that.
Uh-huh.
I also liked that when I think I did a decent job listening to understand, not to be defensive.
No, you did, and you were actually like you took responsibility
Yeah.
for your own behavior. You didn't
Right.
blame me.
Right.
I mean, in the beginning, you blamed me,
Oh, a
but
couple
when
weeks
we
last
talked
week,
this
yeah.
time, you weren't blaming me for the fact that you were upset.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like I had to defend myself or anything.
Sometimes people, when they get into a conflict and they behave badly,
Yeah.
they're ashamed, but they don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there are 3 times, the way I look at it, that people can deal with the conflict: before the conflict, during the conflict, which is the hardest, and after. So this is an after. Okay. So I'm able to own the upset and have some integrity about it, because I think there's a real power in being able to say, this is my problem. I'm owning it. Yes, I'm upset. And when we're young, really young, we blame all the time. It's someone else's fault. They never did it. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's an immature, young way of defending. So I felt really good that you didn't beat me up or say, that's right, that's what you always do. No, you honored. You were very appreciative. That I took ownership of the upset.
I wonder whether, because this conversation came like a week later,
Yes.
so that had given you some time to think about
I
it
think
too,
so, too.
because you said you were feeling certain things about it afterwards.
Yeah.
So it gave you a chance to
Yeah.
think about
Right.
what had happened too, I think.
So this is an example of how a couple or people might talk about the problem after the problem, rather than avoiding and say, what the hell, it's gone, I'll buy the person candy, flowers,
Yeah.
we'll ignore it.
I mean, I think you have to be in pretty good control of yourself to have the kind of conversation we were having.
Right.
When you're hot under the collar,
Right.
that's very hard to do.
Right. It's really important to be able to seek to understand each other. One person talks at a time. Okay. I thought as you and I, as Bobby and Joni, we were listening. We weren't interrupting. We felt. It seemed to me we're seeking to understand, to appreciate, to empathize. It makes sense to me you would feel that way. Okay? And I got that feeling back from you. So as a result, you kind of, when you spoke to me, you got to my underlying need, my need to feel safe.
Well, it was easy because you basically told me.
Yeah.
I mean, if a person doesn't really know what their need is, it would be harder to do.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes people don't really know what their underlying need is. They only know they're upset.
Yeah. And if you stay at the level of the upset and the anger and the hurt, and it can easily trigger the other person to get defensive and feel combative, and then it's like collision. Okay, it's like if you're driving and you come to an intersection and there's a car coming at you from an angle, and you go through the intersection at the same time, you have a collision. You smash into each other. Sometimes it's smart to just stop, let the other car go, and then you go. So the key here is when there's an upset, let one person go at a time. Okay. Otherwise, two conversations can happen at once.
Yeah.
And I think also we did a decent job being able to appreciate, because I was aware at certain times I wanted to interrupt. I could feel the back of me was saying, "Come on, don't let her get away with that. Get defensive."
Oh, yes?
Yeah, I did. I could feel it. I said, "Don't go there. That's an immature old voice. If you want a relationship, what's your intention?" And I realized my intention is to stay connected to you. And I can create safety by shutting my mouth and letting you talk.
Well, it worked.
It did work. Okay.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So hope you folks enjoyed that. Hope it had some value for you. I thought that if we actually demonstrated some of the things I was talking about the prior 2 weeks on conflict, that it would help you get a sense of, okay, this is how we can do it. But you can't do it when you're hot. It's helpful to create your intention. What's my intention in having the conversation? You want to try a soft startup. Hey, what you did, I've been thinking about something. I'm bothered by something. I want to talk to you about it. Is this a good time? You want to practice really good listening and being patient and empathic. Do not talk at the same time. One person talks at one at a time. You want to then ask the other person what was going on for you. So it's an exchange, a collaborative conversation, a compassionate conversation. And then lastly, you go to problem solving. You go to problem solving last, not in the beginning, okay, which I think we ended up. Okay, good.
Yeah, we did.
All right, so I'll love you to come back another time.
Okay.
And maybe if there's a opportunity to demonstrate in these 52 things you need to know.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's some great things people need to know. And if we could demonstrate it and talk about it, it might be a good way for people to say, "Oh, I could do that. That doesn't look that hard."
Okay.
I don't know. Does it look hard? It didn't feel hard. We didn't rehearse this. But look, we do this for a living. So it's just a model. It's a way of thinking about, if I were calm, maybe I could do that.
Right. I mean, maybe we should use this model about your shoes in the living room.
Oh, you dog, you. She's right. I do leave my shoes all over the place. Yeah. I also clutter a lot. I put things all over the place. Okay. All right, folks. Have a good week. Have some good, compassionate conversation. Seek to understand. And when you're hot, shut your mouth and go cool off, okay? Talk to you next week.
Bye.